Is it too late for silver? Has the time to prepare already passed? There's an old proverb that says, the harvest is over, the season is ended, and we are too late. There's a lot going on in the country right now between the disagreements between political factions, civil unrest, natural disasters. Shoot, California is basically on fire, and even with all the property devastation, the political devastation is much worse. Anybody with resources is fleeing the state just as fast as they can. Popularity of searches for prepping and stacking are going through the roof. But the question one has to ask is it too late? They say the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago, but the next best time to plant a tree is today. While we all have things that we wish that we would have done and could have done, the best thing that we can do is to take responsibility for our future and for the care of our families right now. I love the quote that Barbara Bush used to say, it matters less who's in the White House and more who is in your house, because what we do as individuals have an opportunity to affect our lives. So certainly there are uncontrolled and unrestrained forces around the world that are causing consequences, anxiety, stress for many people. But you have a responsibility, we have a responsibility not to be scared, but to be prepared. And part of that preparation is in stacking assets that will not be affected by inflation, that will not be affected by civil unrest and devastation, and preserving your wealth not as an investment, but as an opportunity to make sure that when we do get through the difficult scenario, and I know for those of you who have been born in the last 30 or 40 years, it seems like this is the worst thing you've ever seen. The world has had a few disasters before. So preparing, making sure that you can get through on the other side, and silver and gold stacking is a way to do that. It also, not just speaking of personal responsibility, but governmental responsibility. Governmental responsibility. It may seem right now that we are too late in the season. There are forces at play that cannot be stopped. I'm reminded of our founding fathers as United States citizens. They had accomplished a great task and had sacrificed their lives, their fortune, and their sacred honor. And once the task was complete, they said, you have a republic if you can keep it. We have a responsibility not only to prepare personally, but also in how we vote, in how we train the next generation, and how we recognize the seasons that we're in, both individually and as a nation. And by recognizing those seasons, maybe start preparing. Again, there's an old proverb that says, the house of the wise has choice bread and oil. Maybe that means not living paycheck to paycheck, having an emergency fund, preparing for how you can be sustainable, learning some skills, planting a garden, learning to can. These are all things that were second nature to our parents and grandparents, and yet good times often cause us to not recognize the tasks that we need to be skilled in. So how are you preparing? And how are you adjusting to this year? I know anxiety might be at an all-time high. It's also important just to take a breath. That feels good.